You better do the right thing, or I will not hesitate to punt you in the skull. You're either next us or against us. You want some? Come get some. Because I'm the Miz, and I'm awesome! Those are 4 superstars who, believe it or not, all 4 of them had something to do with the WWE title picture this last week in wrestling. Hello once again, I'm John. Thank you for those of you who tuned in last week to see my inaugural episode of my wrestling views. And thank you to those of you who decided to tune in tonight or whenever you're tuning in here on YouTube to see what I have to say about what happened this week in professional wrestling. Tonight I'm gonna go through and I'm going to talk about some of my aspects of what I've seen in the last week, how I stand on some of the issues that's happened, and then I'm going to start something new this week. I'm going to tell you who, in my opinion, deserves the idea for being the superstar to watch in the last week. So starting off, today is Tuesday, November 23rd, 2010. Once again, a great week in wrestling. Of course, the big standout was Survivor Series this last Sunday, which in the main event was Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship with John Cena as a special guest referee. John Cena, a member of Nexus, not so proud member, but a member of Nexus, was given the ultimatum. He was told that either Randy Orton retains his title, and if Randy Orton does retain his title, if Wade Barrett does not win the championship, John Cena would be fired. But if Wade Barrett does become get the crown of WWE Champion as a result of John Cena's decision come Survivor Series last Sunday, John Cena would have his goal from the last 2 months and be freed from the Nexus for good. John Cena needed to make the right decision. And yeah, it was tough for him. He didn't want to screw Randy Orton over, yet he wanted to be done with Nexus. There was no secret at all about that. What his final decision was he was going to call it right down the middle. And in return, Wade Barrett had a couple near falls. John Cena was honest. He said, that was a 2 count. Wade Barrett didn't like it. You're going to push Cena. Cena's going to push you back regardless who you are. RKO from Orton. John Cena counted to 3. John Cena was fired as a result of Survivor Series. Therefore, Randy Orton was still a champion. John Cena being fired. Next night in Raw, Wade Barrett gave him the opportunity to come give a final address to the fans, is how he worded it. John Cena came out, gave his spiel. WWE Universe, he loves us, whatever. And then in the main event that night was Wade Barrett versus Randy Orton, for the WWE Championship. This time, just a normal referee, somebody who was hired from World Wrestling Entertainment to be nothing but a referee, not a former 10-time WWE Champion like John Cena was. And it was for the title. Raw GM agreed. Randy Orton's on his way to the match. Nexus attacks him. Randy Orton says, I still want to do this match. Let's have this thing. Raw general manager, whoever that is, so annoying. Anyway, said that Nexus will not be involved in this match. Wade Barrett came out, and Wade Barrett hit Wasteland on Randy Orton. If I remember right, the referee was knocked out at this time. Here comes John Cena. He said what goes around comes around, essentially. Wade Barrett, if he was going to use the Nexus to help him out, then he was going to pay the consequences. Here comes John Cena. Attitude adjustment on Wade Barrett. And then the Nexus comes out, chases out John Cena. Nexus is gone. John Cena's out of the picture. Leaves Orton and Barrett. They both get up. Orton hits the RKO. The referee is up long enough to count to 3. Orton's still the champion. But wait. Here comes The Miz with his Money in the Bank briefcase. Miz cashes in Money in the Bank. And they have the second longest match ever when it comes to somebody cashing in Money in the Bank. Of course, the longest match ever was John Cena and Rob Van Dam a few years back, where Van Dam was the only person to not just spare the moment cash in Money in the Bank when the champ was most vulnerable. He won it at ECW One Night Stand a few years ago, so the stage was set. They were just getting ready for it. That was the only time. So Miz, being like any of the other Money in the Bank champions, He comes in, cashes when Orton's nursing a knee injury that Nexus evidently gave him. And they actually have a decent amount of time for their match. Still wasn't the longest match. Orton was hurt going into there. But at one point, Orton was going for that RKO. Miz reversed it. Skull-crushing finale. Miz is the new WWE Champion. Those of you who saw my video last week, I thought for sure this was going to happen at Survivor Series, except it'd be Miz versus Wade Barrett for the title, and Miz would get it. It happened the next night. Now they look back, WWE made the right move. That's what they wanted their storyline to be. I get it. So that's that. Miz is champion. Do I think John Cena is gone? Absolutely not. He might be taking some time off. He is not done with World Wrestling Entertainment in my eyes. I know he did his goodbye spiel and all that. Because I look at it in a few ways. He was fired, not retired. He's John Cena. He can't give up wrestling. A lot of people are saying, well, maybe he's going to be like The Rock and just he wants to go strictly movies. Yeah, John Cena has proved that he can do movies and wrestling at the same time. I think if he wants to continue his movie career, which he's had 3 great movies, especially Legendary. If you haven't seen Legendary yet, I highly recommend you go see it. But that's beside the point. I'm sorry. John Cena has proved that he can work both lives into one. Plus, John Cena was fired as a result of a referee decision. If he's going to go out, why doesn't he have a match just like all the other storylines in the past where if he loses, he's gone? That's how I would do things. I don't see why, oh, you're going to be a referee and make a bad call, you're gone. No, that's stupid. But there's too much going on with John Cena and Nexus right now for John Cena to be gone. Maybe he wants to take a little time off. I don't know. I do know there's creative plans for John Cena that they're tossing and turning about for WrestleMania. Who knows? I'm pretty sure we will see John Cena again before WrestleMania. Maybe even come this Monday night on the special 3-hour edition of Raw. King of the Ring this Monday night for Raw. We know that Ezekiel Jackson, John Morrison, Sheamus, and Daniel Bryan have made it from Raw. From SmackDown, there's going to be qualifying matches this Friday. Big Show and Alberto Del Rio is the only match we know for sure, but we know the other 6 competitors are Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, MVP, Dashing Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, and Jack Swagger. It'll be an interesting tournament. Personally, I don't know who would be my pick for the King of the Ring. It's usually the person we don't think. William Regal's last King of the Ring. Who would have ever really thought that? And he's been a nobody since then, pretty much, Maybe it's going to be the same way here. I hope not. I hope they actually build something up for whoever wins King of the Ring. Not an annoying character like Booker T had a few years ago, but just somebody who's a big picture in WWE, maybe even getting a title shot. I am pretty sure, with the exception of Sheamus, that most of the competitors, if not just about all of them, will not be former world champions in King of the Ring. Granted, SmackDown's got a few names, Big Show and Rey Mysterio, Jack Swagger, who are former world champions. I don't think, though, that whoever wins King of the Ring will be a former world champion. I think it's somebody who is still up and coming and will eventually get a world title, but not a former world champion in his resume. That's my opinion. So that's that for Raw. It was a great couple days. Now, on to TNA, I find one problem that sticks out with me. If I remember right, a couple years ago at WrestleMania 24, it was Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, and a great match. But if I remember right, the idea was if Shawn Michaels wins, Ric Flair retires. And Ric Flair said that he was never going to wrestle again when he gave his goodbye speech that final night, or that next night, which also, I don't know, with how John Cena did his goodbye speech last night, I don't think he's done. Just, there's a different atmosphere between Ric Flair's goodbye speech and Shawn Michaels' goodbye speech as opposed to John Cena's last night. John Cena's not done. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm wearing my John Cena shirt tonight. I'm going to support the guy. He is not done with wrestling. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. But on to TNA, Ric Flair retired almost 3 years ago. He said he'd never wrestle again, so why does he always wrestle in TNA now? That's a question that seems to be on my mind quite a bit. I'm sure it's on a lot of other people's minds as well.